Republican governor of Maryland, Larry Hogan, took part in that meeting. He's joining us now. Governor Hogan, thank you so much for joining us. Give us your impressions, first of all, of this meeting that just took place virtually with the president-elect Joe Biden and this bipartisan group, 5 Republican governors, 5 Democratic governors. How did the Republican governors on your executive committee engage with the president-elect?
Well, first of all, Wolf, I think it was a really smart move on the part of the vice president, the president-elect, and the vice president-elect to reach out to the National Governors Association. You know, we have been working in a bipartisan way, and we've all been on the front lines of this crisis. It was a very cordial and I thought productive meeting, and you know, we went through all the governors, kind of just shared their thoughts with the vice president, with the president-elect, and you know, he talked about his desire to want to work together with us, you know, in a bipartisan way. I thought it was a good first start. Look, we do have concerns about the fact that that they haven't been involved with the transition and they're not getting up to speed. And I thought it was helpful for him to hear from the leaders on both sides of the aisle who have actually been out there fighting this virus.
You've accepted the fact that that Biden is the president-elect of the United States, that he won the election, right?
You know, I think I was the first Republican to do so. I mean, there's no question about that. And, you know, I congratulated him the first night that the race was called. And, you know, I think, you know, more and more Republicans are finally getting to that point. And it's hopefully something that will get resolved here, you know, very shortly.
Did the other 4, I know, I'll ask you, did the other 4 Republican governors in the meeting basically accept the fact and refer to him as president-elect?
Well, I don't want to give the details of the conversation. I don't remember exactly if everyone did, but I think most of them did acknowledge, you know, we're talking about the issues. Obviously, they got on the call with the president-elect and the vice president-elect for a reason. And you know, everybody was very cordial, and I think recognizes the fact that that Joe Biden, you know, Kamala Harris will be, you know, inaugurated on January 20th.
I think so. You're absolutely right. But based on what you heard from President-elect Biden, Governor, do you expect a significant shift in the federal response to the coronavirus, which is getting worse and worse, once he takes office on January 20th?
You know, he didn't share a lot of his thoughts about it yet. I mean, it was more of a fact-finding mission on their part to try to get up to speed. I thought it was a good first step. You know, we just had a conversation where we kind of let him know some of our priorities. Look, I brought up a couple of things. So, number one, we want to make sure that they continue some of the things that are working and that we get some of the other things moving. You know, the vaccine development, Operation Warp Speed is a good thing. We're making progress. It's critically important to getting our states back to normal. I brought up Title 32 funding because some of us are going to, once again, many states are going to be calling up the National Guard to help with vaccine distribution and transport and things like that. And Title 32 allows the federal government to pay for that. We talked about, you know, just a real need to get bipartisan cooperation and a compromise in Congress on the much-needed next stimulus bill, and we've you know, called on the incoming team to work with you know, both Democrats and Republicans in the House and the Senate to try to get this done. Although I don't think we can wait until the end of January. I think this is something that the lame duck Congress needs to act on right now.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. This is critical. There are people suffering right now by the millions out there. They're waiting along food lines. And I think he heard what you were saying. I took notes as he was speaking after your meeting with the president-elect. He said he wants to get new funding for state and local budgets, federal government relief. He wants a stimulus package. He wants new work on making sure that not only vaccines, but the vaccinations begin all around the country in various states. He did support new money for the National Guard troops that you're going to need to help with the distribution of those vaccines. Right. National mask mandate he wants, right. And he wants a lot more testing. That's what you guys proposed, and that's what he emerged from the meeting saying, so I assume you were pleased.
Well, that's great. I didn't actually hear his remarks because I went from that meeting into another, immediately into another series of meetings. So I'm very glad to hear. He seemed to be very receptive to the message. Those were all the points that we tried to make, and I think we're off to a good start.
All this is taking place, Governor, under the shadow, very disturbing shadow of President Trump's threats to try to subvert the election with totally baseless accusations of widespread fraud in various states that he lost, his outrageous scheme to pressure state officials to overturn the will of the voters. Is there any way to describe this other than, and this is so painful to even say, an assault on our democracy?
Well, I said something very similar, Wolf. Look, my biggest concern right now is that we don't drop the ball on. We're in the middle of a war right now against this virus, and we've got to get the current White House coronavirus team talking with the Biden team. We've got to get on with the transition, because we can't afford to be, delaying. While we did have a good meeting with Vice President Pence and the coronavirus team earlier this week, which was very productive. I just want to see them all working. But yeah, it is outrageous, Wolf, and it is an assault on our democracy. And look, I think everybody wants every single vote to be counted fairly, but we haven't seen any evidence of widespread voter fraud. And the numbers are the numbers, and several of these are Republican-led states. And he's, look, I think it's bad for Donald Trump. It's bad for the Republican Party, and it's bad for the country and our standing in the world. And this is the way our country works. We cast the votes, we count the votes, and we live with the results. And we've always had a peaceful transition of power. And I just think it's really sad what's going on right now.
And how do you explain that some other Republicans are actually, going along with this because it is so outrageous?
Well, I can't really explain it other than they're just maybe afraid of the president. Some of them may believe the conspiracy theories, but some of them, I think, just are humoring him. But I think an awful lot of Republican governors and folks in the Senate and some of his friends and people in the White House are advising him. He just doesn't seem to be listening to anybody.
You see, what's so worrisome, this poll, I don't know if you saw this, I think it was a Monmouth University poll that came out. There it is right there. Do you believe Biden won fair and square or due to voter fraud? This is a Monmouth University poll. Fair and square among Republicans, Governor, among Republicans, 18% say it was fair and square, but 70% among Republicans say it was due to voter fraud. This is outrageous when you think about it. And when Biden takes office on January 20th, he's going to have to deal with such a divided country in the midst of such a deadly coronavirus pandemic.
Well, I did an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal talking about just those things and saying that, I was pleased with the president-elect's comments when he came out and talked about trying to bring the country together, trying to work towards a bipartisan compromise on getting things done and bringing, even if you didn't vote for him, if you're a Republican or Democrat, he's going to be an American president. I think that's the exact right tone for him to have. And if he continues along those lines, I said, I look forward to working with him in a bipartisan way. And I hope that we don't continue this divisive, angry politics on both sides, or that the Democratic Party moves too far to the left, or the Republican Party is off to the right. We really have to put the partisanship aside right now and come together to battle this virus and to turn our economy around, because we're in bad shape in this country right now.
I just want to thank you, Governor Hogan. I want to thank the 4 other Republican governors who were in this meeting with the president-elect today, and I'll just mention their names quickly. Asa Hutchinson of Arkansas, Gary Herbert of Utah, Charlie Baker of Massachusetts, Kay Ivey of Alabama. 5 Republican governors, 5 Democratic governors, all working with the incoming administration, with the president-elect, for the good of the American people to try to deal with this pandemic. Appreciate it very much. Good luck to you.